here, and today we are in Gran Turismo with day races. See, I qualified in 6th in race B at Sardenga, the road track B in reverse. Unfortunately, it was in reverse, which not as good on reverse as doing it normal way, but still, qualifying in 6th wasn't too bad. I am in the Porsche 911 RSR. I did do this race before in the Audi R8, but I thought this race was a bit more interesting. You know, there was a bit more closer racing in this one than there was in my original one with the Audi R8. So let's see what we can pull off in basically like the second attempt. Yeah, this first that little kink of a corner kind of thing was one that I always was a bit skeptical on. It was always a bit like, with that corner. A little bit of contact between me and Matt there, but I don't gain anything from that. So, and I did hold off a little bit, so he would be able to basically come back on the track, so he could keep his 5th position rather than me overtaking him. You know, I'd rather try and overtake him more fairly. The only issue with that was obviously he did unfortunately lose a little bit of time on 4th, but he had good pace. So I do believe he was at that point. I thought he'd be able to easily make that back up again. Some guy behind me spin up there. I can't remember who that was, but unfortunately he had a little bit of a spin up there. Unfortunately, so. Coming up to the end of the first lap, no major incidents from my part. I thought that. I'm still in 6th, still behind Matt. So you know, relatively smooth so far. So yeah, when I originally did this in the R8 and the Audi, I was a bit like, you know, it wasn't as close to racing. So I thought I'll give it another go in the 911, bit smoother. Oh, Pete Fish, I think his name's Pete Fish, or Pete the Fish, has gone off, and he's gone. He's gone off, and then he's gone. And then here we are coming out in 3 abreast, and I thought, yeah, I'm not going to be part of the sandwich. So I'm going to pull back a little bit, because I didn't want to become part of a 3-car sandwich. But let's see what we can do. So managed to come up into 5th, but that's only because I think his name was Pete the Fish. But that's only because unfortunately Pete the Fish left the race because he had a bit of an little knock there. But again, no harm, no foul. You know what I mean? And so much I was just going into that a little bit faster than the Spaniard, or I think his name's Red Drac. Something like that I think it is. It's like Red Drac. Or Redrac, or Redark, or I think it's Redrac. I don't know how you pronounce it. I have no idea. You can see we're all very close. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. We're all very, very close. So let's see. So I still haven't managed to get past Matt yet. Still stuck behind Matt in the BMW. I don't know if he's in the if he's just in the M6 Sport or if he's in the Vulcan horse. I'm not totally sure which one he's in. So got a little bit of a knock there from Redrak, but he did the same thing as what I did. You know, he held back, so he didn't overtake. But then, unfortunately, I go a little bit wide there. I'm going a little bit slow at that point, so I'm thinking there's no point in me trying to fight here. So I let Redrak go by, and so I dropped back down to 5th. So now I've got to try and catch up now to overtake Redrak again, who's in the GTR. Camera and disaster for Redrak. Unfortunately, he did one of those things that I've done a couple of times before whilst I was doing qualifying and a bit of practicing this track, where you just get at one point where you just go a little bit wide. Your wheels get onto the gravel and your car just wants to pull over to the left, even though you want to go to the right. and obviously you have that barrier that just sort of kinks out a little bit, and unfortunately you just clip it. I had that happen come to me a couple of times in qualifying, and unfortunately he had it just at the wrong time. Unfortunately, yeah. But I know he was quite a fast driver. He was quite quick. So it's like I can't be like, oh, there's quite a big gap between me and him. Let's take it a little bit easy. It's like, no, I still had to push because I knew he had quite a fast pace. But unfortunately that gap has opened up quite a bit between me and Matt, unfortunately now. So at this point, I'm sort of like, I'm thinking, yeah, I'm gonna try and keep up with Matt if I can, to try and see if I can catch up with him again. But also at the same time, I'm not gonna push too hard so I don't make a mistake. Now, unfortunately, there was a yellow flag there. Now, I just suddenly jumped up to third. I was in fourth, and now third, because I think it was a Polish driver. I can't remember his name, but I think it was a Polish driver. Unfortunately, he had an incident. Actually, I think in the same place where Red Redrac had his incident, and he just quit because at that point he was facing. Because I went back through the replay, had a look what happened, and he was just facing the wall basically, so he got kind of stuck. And obviously due to that he decided just to quit, which is like fair enough, but also he still complete the race, because if you're going to race quite like that, you are going to damage your driver rating even more than actually trying to get to the end of the race, because you may still be able to get an okay position, and if you do lose DR rating, you'll only lose say 500 points in DR rating. Whereas if you rage quit, or just quit in general, you lose about 2 or 3 times the amount of that. So you lose about 1,000 to 1,500 if you quit a race. So it's better to just complete the race regardless of what happens, really, I would say. But if people want to quit, they can quit. Right, yeah, to dictate what people do, what people don't do. So yeah, as you can see, I haven't really been able to catch up with Matt. Redrac's been able to catch up with me a little bit, but he hasn't caught up enough. Going the last couple of corners, just trying not to balls it up anywhere. So now, there we are. So basically on a long straight bit, so there's nothing now Redrac can do, so I bring it home in third place. A couple of scuffles here and there, but nothing major bad. And we're all trying to be fair to each other as well at the same time. So, on to the next race at Fuji. Alright. Now, I have a bit of an incident right at the beginning of this race, because of the French driver. I think that's French. No, was that Netherlands? I don't know. I don't know my flags. But the driver in second. Now, I did go back to the replay, and at the moment he's in reverse. So you'll see in a minute, he'll start reversing. So he starts to reverse a little bit, and then goes forwards, and now unfortunately I collide with him. Which, obviously I wasn't in 4th, I was starting 4th, and that's pretty good. And then I'll drop down to 10th. Now I don't know I think his name is Track Addict. Now I don't know if he was in reverse purposely because he just wanted to troll the person who was behind him, or if he was in reverse by accident. How you've been reversed by accident, I don't know, but I know some people have done that before, and it is actually possible to do. So I don't know, but obviously, unfortunately, with him going on reverse at the start, kind of dropped me down 6 places pretty much. So now I'm down in 9th. I did drop down to 10th, but I managed to climb up at least 1 more position. So now I'm down in 9th, so now I've got a lot of work to do in a track that I'm not a massive fan of. I didn't mind this week because you didn't have that bloody chicane bit in it. Because obviously, where at the moment you would normally be coming up to like chicane kind of corners, but this is the short version, so you don't have to worry about that chicane, which is quite nice. Unfortunately, here I just turned in a bit too early, start losing control, but managed to regain it. But unfortunately, I do incur myself a half-second penalty. But that was just because, unfortunately, I turned in just a little bit too early. So unfortunately, the car cut the corner, and I give myself half-second penalty. Is that? Oh well, what can I do? Now, probably in this race, I was probably a bit more aggressive than what I normally am. Because I normally tend to try not to be too of an aggressive driver. But I think in this race I was probably a little bit more aggressive. Because at this point, I was literally... If I didn't do well in this race, I was going to drop down to C class rating. If I did well in this race, then I would keep up into B. So this was a sort of like a race to keep my B rating, my DR at B. So I was a little bit more aggressive, I would say, in this race. Though not intentionally trying to punt people or push people out of the way or anything like that. You know, I wasn't trying to do any of that kind of dirty business. But I was a little bit more aggressive, I would say. So, Hampshire really haven't been able to gain in condition. I did get up to 8th, but obviously due to that half-second penalty, now dropped back down to 9th again. So I've still got quite a lot of work to do to get at least myself back up to where I started. Which, if I'm able to get myself back up to where I started, then I would definitely be able to keep my B rating DR. But thanks to that one driver spinning out there, I don't know if he was spun out or I think he might have actually possibly got into an incident with another driver. But due to that, I managed to come up into 7th, so I'm slowly getting back up the field. Let's see what we can do. See, it was always just kind of it's the same with the normal Fuji race, with the normal track rather than the short version. This section was always a bit squiffy for me. Sometimes I'll do it well, sometimes I won't do it so well, and it's just always a bit of a squiffy area of the track for me. I don't know where Der Gamer is going. I don't know, it looks like he just wants to go off to Narnia or something. It's like, I had no need to be on the track, I'm just going to go where I want. But yeah, so no idea where Der Gamer was going now. I mean, he's always going off on his own little adventure. Let's see if I can overtake anybody here, which is normally T1. It's normally a good place to overtake. Managed to climb up 2 positions there. I did have a little bump with, unfortunately I can't see his name from here. The Portuguese driver, I can't see his name unfortunately. But the Portuguese driver, yeah, unfortunately there was a little bit of a bump with him there. But I think it's just because I was going into that corner a little bit faster, but I was on the inside and this and the other. But again, yeah, you're going to have little bumps, just there. Unfortunately, I had a little bit of a bump with the Russian driver. But again, that was probably because at that point I was going a little bit faster than what he was. So it was a little bit of a bump, but he doesn't lose anything. If anything, really, he actually gains more. He actually gains more ground on me than actually loses. Coming here, go a little bit wide. I thought great. I thought that was oh great. That means people behind me are going to catch up now. But evidently, everybody else behind me also goes wide. So it's like okay. So actually, if anything, I actually gained ground on everyone behind me. I managed to catch up with the Russian driver a little bit. Probably if we can bother trying to pronounce his name. I'm just going to call him Kara because I know it begins with like K-A-R-A. So I'm going to call him Kara just to simplify it for myself. Yeah, it's like Kara Chiola. I'm just going to call him Kara. It's easier that way. So let's see what my lap time is on this one. So, get a new purple lap, so a new fastest lap. And I think at the moment, I think at this time it was the fastest lap in the race. I can't remember now if in this race I had the fastest lap at the end, or if someone did manage to. I think possibly the German in second may have beat my lap time at one point, but I can't remember. Unfortunately, I can't really remember quite now. But as of at the moment, I'm in, second purple sectors. I got fastest lap because it's the purple lap. But I managed to climb up into fourth because I think Kara, unfortunately, ran a bit wide on T1. And that managed to get me up into fourth, so at least I'm now back where I started. But it's been quite Sardenga, the first race at Sardenga, quite close racing. This race, also quite close racing. That's the thing about this week. There was actually this week there was a lot of quite a lot of close racing this week. So it's probably going to be a bit more interesting to watch. To me, it's more interesting to watch. It was more interesting to take part in as well, due to the fact that there's a lot more closer racing, and people there wasn't like massive gaps between me and like a few other cars. Yeah, there was gaps, yeah, but they weren't like massive gaps. So going up to the end of lap 4, and so yeah, I've managed to get myself back up to where I started. So it's now a question of, can I gain any more positions in the last lap? So I have Lil Expo, I can't read his name from bloody here because it's all small and squidgy in my recording. But Spanish driving first, we got a German, I think his name was like Twist, yeah, it's like Twist something. In second, and we got another guy, another Spanish driver. I ain't gonna bother trying to pronounce how you pronounce that bloody name. But a Spanish driver in third. But yeah, there is a bit of a gap between me and third, unfortunately. Twist goes a little bit wide, but he managed to keep his position. I get a little bit of a bump there. I kind of bump into the Spanish driver over there. Again, it's the whole thing about me being able to get into a corner faster. I think obviously because at the point he was a bit slow, because he probably bumped into Twist. And then he bumps him, he's fair enough, but then he carries on, and it's like, what are you doing, mate? What are you doing? There's no point in you trying to beat me. You've got a 2-second penalty, and I'm right behind you. There's no point in you trying to beat me, because in the ways for the battle for third and fourth, you've already lost. Basically, you've already lost at this point. But I thought, since he's already lost, I'm not going to try and push too hard to get past him, and now really it's more just defend against Kara, who's managed to catch back up. So I'm now doing more of a defense against fifth rather than trying to take over third. Now coming to the last corner, with cars everywhere, I'm like, screw this, let's tuck on the inside. Now unfortunately the Spanish driver here, he was probably being a bit of a dick to Twist, and keeping Twist actually on the outside here. Whereas if Twist was able to get past him, then Twist would have kept second. But it's a great sketch between me and Kara right now, and I just get ahead of Kara, just crossed the line, just about. So a very close race and very close finish there between me, third and fourth, really in the end. But all in all, second place, not going to argue, especially when I was right near the back at the beginning. And here we are with the last race at Autopolis. You can see I qualified in third, so my qualifying for this week has been very good actually. My qualifying time, I believe, if I can remember correctly, it was like a 1:37.8. So I was actually on quite good pace. For me, being only like about 3 seconds behind the top 10, for me, that's pretty good. I know, yeah, some people, yeah, that's still kind of slowish, really. But for me, being 3 seconds behind the top 10 in a car that's been dominated by the rear brakes, and I'm in the motor, I don't think I've done too badly for qualifying. But let's see what we can do. So a lot of people, even though the rear brakes is the dominating car in the qualifying on this, a lot of people are going for the motor. So I don't know if the rear brakes is the better qualifier car and the motor is the better car for the actual race. But you know, a lot of people seem to have gone for the motor in this race. You know, there was a few of the rear brakes, and I think there was a couple of the Lexus AU Toms as well, I think. So I've gone for obviously a very strange looking livery. I thought I'd create a new livery for this race. Here we are, bada bing bada boom. Created a new eye to go with the neon eye. Gamer tag. Created a new eye for that. But let's just see what we can do. So no major incidents at the moment, so we're all still going pretty smoothly. No major incidents, all good. I'm car 17. Yeah, I couldn't see what car number I was in this during the race. I couldn't see it because the car number stickers on this car are very, very small. So I couldn't see what car number I was in comparison to where I started. So I didn't have an idea of where was a good place for me to finish. And it turns out I was car 17, so I was like pretty much bottom of the barrel here in this race. So starting in third, ginormous ass bonus for me there. So yeah, Fuji, a wheel there goes a bit wide. Has a bit of a dodgy turn one. But yeah, unfortunately, actually during the actual race, I was not on pace with my qualifying time. I think my fastest lap in the race in the end was it's like a 140, I think, in the end. But unfortunately, during the race, I just wasn't on pace to what my qualifying time was. I was a bit off. Not so sure why. But I think it was just because I was just pushing a bit more harder to try and at least stay up with what position I'm in. But obviously, doing that would mean that there was a potential for a couple of mistakes here and there to happen, or to go wide in a couple of corners here and there. You know, there's always that potential to happen. Alright, going up into this section here, and unfortunately, disaster. I just go a little bit wide, clip the grass, spin out, crash into the wall. Lucky enough, I was able to get back onto the track relatively quite quickly. But all in all, unfortunate disaster. So now I've dropped down into 6th place. So in the way to driver rating, I'm probably still doing well for driver rating in this. I'm probably still doing quite well. But in ways of race terms, unfortunate disaster there. I thought I'm going to let the Italian go because he had the inside. But then this French guy comes out of nowhere, smashes the Italian off. But obviously, since he came out of nowhere, kind of took me by surprise a little bit there. So unfortunately, do run a little bit wide on exiting T1. So I do manage to gain positions and then drop back down. What did you drop down? The 7th. But now I am down actually in position with drivers who are technically actually on a slightly slower pace than what I was. They were on a slightly slower pace. I believe it's this hairpin here, I think. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know if I broke a little bit too late there, or if it was. But I don't get a penalty. I don't get a penalty or anything like that for that. I don't know. I think the driver in front of me may just braked a little bit too early, possibly. There. So unfortunately, there was a little bit of contact. But unfortunately, I couldn't do the whole courteous thing of, you know what? I'll let him keep his position and carry on, la la la. Because I was not in actually a position to do that at that point, really. So unfortunately, just still a racing incident there. But that's my only small little guilt about this race, was that little incident there. But lucky enough, he doesn't drop down. He doesn't lose a major load of positions. I think he's lost, because I would have got into 6 anyway. So he's dropped down by like 1 position. So unfortunately, he does lose 1 position. But that's my only little bit of guilt from this whole race, unfortunately, was that one little incident that happened with the French driver. But I think it's either I braked a little bit too late or he braked a little bit too early there. So it was just an unfortunate incident there. So, but not much I can do about it now. So I've managed to get back up into 6th place again. So now it's about trying to get back up to at least 3rd. That's what I need to at least try and do, is at least get up to 3rd. Get back to where I started. So you can see my fastest lap at the moment is a 1:44, but obviously I haven't been having the smoothest start to the race. But obviously I know I can go about half a second to 43, about 6.5 seconds faster than this. But as I said at the beginning of this race, I just unfortunately for some reason during this race I was just not on pace. I mean, obviously, as you go through the race, obviously your tyres are wearing down, so obviously that doesn't help with lap times. But during the whole race, I just didn't feel like I was on pace with it. But I still had a fun race. It was just unfortunately not on the best paces that I know I can achieve. Though I do get quite a few purple sectors in this race as well. So I still at least had some kind of pace. And I don't believe anyone's left the race yet. I think this race started with 18 people. So going into this hairpin again. So my strategy for this race, I don't know what the best strategy for this race was. Because I definitely know, obviously, yeah, you definitely did not need to pick the fuel. Tyres was the only concern in this race, was tyres. So I don't know what the better strategy was to run on harder tyres. Though you would be slightly slower around the track, you would be able to be out for longer. Basically be able to put more laps in before you have to change the tyres. Or go for mediums, and the standard strategy of basically pitting in halfway through the race and then doing the last stint on mediums as well at the same time. I decided to go for. I had a strategy. I didn't know if it was the best strategy. I didn't think it was a bad strategy. It may not have been the best, but I don't think it was a terrible strategy. And my strategy consisted of basically run on mediums, pitting on lap 5, which I'm doing now. My brake bias was on +1, so it was a little bit to the rear. So then once I've changed my tyres and then got back out on into lap 6, it was changed to brake bias to +4, so therefore the front tyres would last at least a little bit longer, because since there's a lot of corners in this, there's a lot of turns, there's a lot of corners in this track, so you want to try and preserve your front tyres as well as you can. But only downside to that strategy is I do unfortunately drop down to 10th. But I'm also thinking at the same time is that a lot of people in front of me do have to pit, and I've already pitted and changed my tyres, and that's it. And I'm now going to the end of the race. There's no more pitting in for me. I'm going straight to the end now. So pretty much everybody else, as far as I'm aware, knowing if everybody else now has to pit at some point. So it's I'm doing the cut. So my strategy basically, effectively, was basically to do an undercut on everybody else, basically, but keep on the mediums. Now the only downside to this strategy is obviously your tyres at the end will all be suffering quite a bit. That's the only downside to this strategy. Fortunately there, what's his name? I think it's Adam Forrest's having a bit of a bad time there. So I managed to get past him. He climbed up into 8th. French driver there, unfortunately don't see his name. Goes off there. And I climb up to 7th. I now overtake 3 people who are all pitting in. And managed to get up in the 4th. So I pit in on lap 5, come out, I'm down in position 10. And then by the beginning of lap 7, I've climbed up 6 positions. Two of those positions obviously were due to people having a bit of an accident, but I've got a funny feeling they may have pitted actually as well at that point. So I still would have overtaken them anyway. So that's the advantage of doing the undercut. The only disadvantage of the undercut is my tyres in the last like 2 laps are going to be suffering quite a bit. Now I didn't try the strategy with running on hard tyres after doing the medium stint, which it's a stint that could possibly work. It's a strategy that could possibly work. But I wanted to do that. But my strategy obviously was to do mediums and then go on to mediums, but change the brake bias throughout the race. So then, in the last stint, it's the back tyres are the ones that are suffering a bit more rather than the front tyres. But obviously, the front tyres would still be suffering quite a bit near the end of the race. But we shall see what we can achieve at this point. There was a bit of something a bit funny going on with the whole positions counter on the side there. It was very confusing because there was a lot of jumps for some reason. But I'm behind this bright pink Ray Briggs NSX. It's very pink, I will grant you. Very odd coloration, I will grant you. Bright pink car with very, I don't know, is that purple wheels? It was actually a slightly distracting colour. it was very distracting. So, God, that's so pink. But we'll see what we can do. See if we can get past this guy. As you can see, I got a wheel behind me. So at the moment, it's pretty close race between 3rd, 4th, and 5th. We're all pretty close to each other. I got a wheel breathing down my neck at the moment. So any normal disasters? Not at the moment. So at the moment we are being now disaster free, which is good. It's always nice when you have a race and you go through it disaster free. It's always good. You can see second place is now pitted in. Now he's going for the hard tyre strategy. But I do manage to climb up into 3rd. So I get into 3rd, so I'm now back where I started. Still with 3 laps to go, so I can still pull something off here, possibly. But again, still got a wheel breathing down my neck. Just can't shake a wheel off at the moment. And unfortunately I don't recognise the flag, unfortunately, of where he's from. I'm not totally sure what his nationality is, unfortunately. I can't tell from here. I unfortunately do not know the flag. And unfortunately, the Spanish driver's name is very, very long. But I think it's like Pater Sacone or something like that. I think I was going to call him Pat for short. Just a bit easier for me. Just call him Pat. So I managed to gain a bit of ground on the wheel, get a bit closer to Pat. And unfortunately, Pat just clips the grass and he is off. Unfortunately, again, he just clips the grass a little bit, loses control of the car, and spins out. That's what most of the incidents were actually this week. A lot of the incidents were this week were just, unfortunately, people were just clipping grass and spinning out. Unfortunately, this week. So I managed to get up in the second. I think at this point, first place is just gone. He's gone. I think at this point he was like 20 odd seconds ahead. I think he was. It was something like that. He was like 20 odd seconds ahead. I think at this point. So as of at the moment, first place is gone. He's dead. Is gone. So there's no point in me trying to catch up a second. So really, it's now just try and keep second. That's my fight at the moment, is to just try and keep second place. Keep second place and stay ahead of Aquil. That's my fight. And I'm doing all right. I'm keeping ahead of Aquil. I'm keeping enough of a gap ahead of him, where he's. The only time when he maybe become a bit of a threat is on the longer straights. That's really the only times when he'll probably become a bit more of a threat. But we do have the English driver of TMNT 7777, or obviously Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtle, so I'm just going to call him Turtle. So I've got Aquil, who's not far behind, and Turtle, who's actually within a shout of being able to get, because he's not too far behind either at the moment. Now, unfortunately, obviously at this point, my tyres are starting to get a bit, starting to wane. First place has pitted, but he does get out ahead as well. But I do manage, but the gap does close down to about like 5 seconds or something like that, I think it was. But I was still not really within a shout to be able to overtake him. So my fight was still stay ahead of Aquil and try and keep ahead of Turtle as well. We're on the penultimate lap, and there's still a good enough gap between me and Aquil. But they are still technically a threat, technically. But at the moment, Aquil is having a slightly bit more of a worse time than me, because he has Turtle right down his neck. Whereas I at least got a little bit of breathing space. But in the last lap, my tyres are going to be my problem. In the last lap, they are going to be a big issue for me in the last lap, the tyres. So, at the moment, this is the problem. At the moment, I gotta try and push hard to stay ahead of Aquil, but I've also got to try and be careful on my tyres to try and conserve them as much as I can. So it's kind of like I'm trying to not brake too hard in lots of places, so that does allow Aquil to kind of catch up here. And I'm trying to not like brake too hard. So unfortunately, the gap does come down. See what we can put off in the last lap. So going now into the last lap. There is a fight for second. Now here I had to go a bit defensive against Aquil. I had to go to take the defensive line. It does pull off. It does pay off. And I keep my second position. But at this point, my tyres are fucking cursing me. I'm wanting to throttle me at this present moment of time, because they are starting to get quite bad. Aquil here, I think he just pushes a little bit too hard. goes a little bit wide, and unfortunately that puts him out of contention for getting second. But unfortunately, Turtle, who is now behind me, does actually have slightly better condition tyres. I do unfortunately go a bit wide there, and here he's got the inside line, and at this point I have to concede defeat. So I go a bit wide. I do go a bit wide there, but the go wide there was intentional, just so then there was enough room for Turtle to get by, because at that point I had to concede defeat with Turtle. There was no way that I was going to be able to keep ahead of him. So I had to concede defeat, give up second, and then drop down into third, but still third place, still the podium position, and I'm still going to basically be finishing where I started. So, you know, I've got nothing to complain about. And of course I bugger it up on the last corner. But at this point I'm just being a little bit careful. I know I've got enough space between me and the Quill. I could be a little bit more careful, just so I don't bugger up and then come home in third place. So that's it for this week's daily races. A lot of close racing this week, and I think very good racing. There was a few scuffles here and there, but I think all in all, some good races. So please remember to like and subscribe and share this video with your friends, and remember to also check out my playlist of Gran Turismo races, as well as my top 5 livery videos, which I'll be releasing one of those again very, very soon. And click that notification bell if it's there. I don't know, but either way, until next time, I will see you all at the finishing line.